Good morning, Dubai. Welcome back to Lovin Dubai show, where we go through all of our trending stories. Of course, our top story today, no more masks. The UAE has dropped face masks for the majority.
Woo! I mean, this has been 2 years in the waiting. So big news. And of course, we'll be talking about the one-way flight tickets from Moscow to Dubai exceed 10,000 dirhams amid Russia's mobilization.
Also, Jupiter was the nearest it's been to Earth in 59 years.
And we'll also be talking about the UAE team will row 5,000 kilometers across the Atlantic Ocean. So a lot of fun stories for you guys today, this morning. But first of all,
mask but not least.
Mask but not least. Oh my God.
Mask and you shall receive.
They don't call her the pun queen for nothing. I'll tell you that.
How do you feel? It's, guys, can you remember sitting in our apartments and not knowing the uncertainty that lay ahead with COVID? It was just phenomenal. And finally, after this incredible efforts by the government, and we've been so lucky for 2 years, we've been wearing these. You have cupboards full of them at home, I'm sure.
Yeah, but not the reusable. Yes, some reusable ones. You know what? I think they have protected us. They have kept us safe. They have kept us reassured in our times of discomfort, in our times of just, you know, when we didn't know if anything was right. And I feel like you should do a goodbye.
Thoughts?
I'm going to miss them.
I don't think I'm going to get rid of it.
Same.
Like, first of all, you still need it on public transport. You still need it in medical institutions. You still need it if you're vulnerable or if you have symptoms like a stuffy nose, you should still be wearing them. So it's not fully goodbye. Put it on.
But I tested negative.
Did you?
I did.
Okay, fine. Someone saying introverts left the chat. Guys, how do you feel? This is a full question to you. How do you feel about removing your mask in public places? There's been a lot of conversations recently about, like, in malls, a lot of people weren't wearing them. However, although you can pick out the people who weren't wearing their masks, right? You could always see them. Everyone who was wearing them, you were probably quite meticulous about it. You would take it, remember, when you leave the house, it became your phone, your keys, your mask. That was it. How do you feel about removing it? Will you continue to wear them at the mall? That's the question.
I feel like this has like strong opinions on both the sides. Some just their faces were very uncomfortable, you know, like they got pimples and acne with masks and so much discomfort. And then those with like respiratory issues, you know, just couldn't deal with masks. So for them, it's like such a sigh of relief that you don't have to wear them constantly anymore unless you're like in, you know, using public transportation. But at the same time, for those like who, like you said, meticulous, who just want to constantly, you know, who are paranoid, would want to keep wearing the masks, and which is okay both ways now. It's fine. Whatever you want to do, whatever floats your boat.
Whatever floats your boat. I think the big, massive sigh of relief has got to be the schools.
Yeah.
Right? The teachers, the kids. We saw a gorgeous photo, which you shared on Instagram this morning. You know, it's like the last day for these kids to be wearing these masks. They can rip them off. KHDA announced it, and they were like, smiles are still mandatory. So you got to get your smile beneath your mask, obviously. But really, like, we are so super fortunate. On the show, we have a couple of thousand people who tune in every morning. That's across all the socials that we played on it. I remember sitting in my apartment in COVID times. There was 2 weeks where we worked from home, and then we were back in the office. And we had 25 to 30,000 people watching the Facebook show alone. Because people were so scared in their apartments. And we've just, like, that just feels like, that's just like this like weird moment in the past that we lived through this crazy time.
Yeah.
And now we're like totally, okay, they didn't use the word end, and we're going to get into the exact wording used by Nsima soon. They didn't use the word end, they didn't use the word over, but there were so many positives. They used the words the loosening, which I liked.
The loosening
of the rules. The loosening.
A lot of people like that word, loosening. But one person commented, now I can see every face, like on our Instagram. So what else have they commented? Bye masks. Someone said like kids are anxious, schoolgoers are just anxious about the masks coming off. But everything's a transition. When we were getting into wearing masks, we were skeptical about it. Now that we're getting into removing masks and not wearing it as much, everyone's a little bit more paranoid on that end as well. But I think it's all just like you give everything time, and with it, everything gets, normalcy takes over.
That's so true. And that transition period for kids is actually something worth noting. You think that they're all prepared, but just have the conversation and say, this is why it's happening. You can use the stats that Nsima used about cases continuing to dip. So let's just jump into the national media live that happened yesterday. I think every eye was glued on the screens at 5:30 to hear what would happen. The Nsima announced that the UAE is officially saying goodbye to masks starting September 28th. Residents have the option to wear masks in open and closed spaces. In the press briefing yesterday, the loosening of laws was announced because the situation of COVID-19 is officially stable. Cases are continuously declining and deaths are nearly at zero.
And with that, the daily announcements of COVID-19 cases will no longer be published. However, the data will still remain on the official websites.
And we've said it once, we'll say it again, no more masks. Students and faculty of the education sector are no longer required to wear masks on campus as well. But there are some exceptions. Masks are still required in hospitals, public transportation and places of worship. Those who are vulnerable and also those who have symptoms should continue to mask up, which is why my little stash of reusable masks will continue to live in its rightful place by the door.
As it should. I mean, at this point, so even as much become a fashion statement. And the rules for COVID-related quarantine have also changed. So those who receive a positive PCR test must quarantine or self-isolate for 5 days. However, those in contact with anyone who tested positive do not have to quarantine if they don't receive a negative PCR result. So that is quite important. A lot of people were worried about like what's happening with quarantine and self-isolation. There you go. You have to self-isolate again for 5 days. And if you are in contact with someone and if you've tested negative, there's no need to isolate.
So we used to have those COVID briefings every week, and then they became this rare thing. So last night was kind of the big one, like, what else do we need to hear? We know now that if you test positive, it's quarantined for 5 days. I feel like all our questions are answered. And they're not going to be, as we've already said, they're not going to be publishing the new numbers every day. So you might see on different media outlets, there's, you know, this many new cases, this many new cases. The information is still there if you want to check it. It's still on the MOHAP app. It's still on the websites, but it won't be continuously published. So the little reminders of COVID that we see day to day, such as new cases and masks, are gone.
But still do get yourself vaccinated. And I mean, it's really, people have been counting down to these, to the day we don't have to wear masks anymore. Yeah, this is the big moment. And we've all done this together, you know, as a community. We've all just worked together. We've kept ourselves safe, each other safe, followed regulations. Hence, we have come to this.
We should have a big party.
Big mask off party. But the worst
the total opposite of what we should do.
The worst part about this is like, you know, now you get to walk out open and your expressions that you would usually just keep so poker or like, you know, even have the weirdest faces underneath your mask. Like now it's visible to the naked eye.
My favorite thing about masks was the yawning that you could get away with in meetings underneath.
Oh no, you couldn't get away with those. We knew when you were yawning, Casey.
Okay, chat, am I yawning or not?
You are.
I'm trying, yeah.
I mean, of course, your facial muscles expand.
And yeah, but I feel like you could get away with a lot more. And like the kind of, do you ever like say something uncomfortable and then afterwards you're like, why did I just say that?
It's the eek face that you always get away with, but now not anymore.
Well, we can still wear them. It's going to be that transition period.
I just feel like I'm going to miss the masks. Like the people have a bad breath in the morning. Okay, like anytime.
All throughout the day.
Yeah, exactly. And the masks would just keep it at bay.
Or maybe the mask keeps it in.
Keeps it in.
Keeps it at bay.
Yeah, but now it's like, just it's a big change.
There's a lot to get used to. I really want to know, are you going to be whipping off the mask or will you continue to wear it, and will that transition period be a little bit tricky for you? All of the details are on Lovin Dubai in an article written by Mayar yesterday evening and on Lovin Abu Dhabi if you want to check it there.
Will you be whipping off your mask?
Yeah.
Whipper.
I'm used to it though, because I have like the stash at home, I have the stash in the car, and like, you know, I always like, you know, when you pop into the gym, it's going to be it'll be handy because I forget stuff all the time, so it'll be one less thing to remember, which is great.
You spoke what all of us were thinking. moving on to our next story. What?
Cool.
So, you guys, one-way flights from Moscow to Dubai exceed 10,000 dirhams amid Russia's mass mobilization. So earlier on Wednesday, September 21st, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a partial military mobilization. So if you're wondering what that means, it's the action of a country or its government preparing and organizing troops for active service. Now, almost immediately, Russians began booking one-way tickets to flee the country. Now, those not as fortunate to afford flight tickets have gone into hiding and or are protesting against the mobilization draft.
The situation sparked an exodus of men trying to escape and joining the military and fighting against Ukraine. So tickets out of Russia have skyrocketed to 10K one way as a large number of citizens are attempting to flee the country.
Now, a one-way economy seat fare from Moscow to Dubai is topping 10,000 dirhams as a result of high demand. And a week ago, these fares were a little over 1.3 thousand dirhams only. Moreover, videos of the anti-mobilization demonstrations are being widely shared on social media platforms, with news outlets reporting heavy unrest and an element of terror within the country.
300,000 reservists aged 18 to 35 have been ordered to report for military duty, and more on that story as we see the numbers coming to you later in the week. And next up, Jupiter was the nearest it's been to Earth in 59 years. It happened last night. It's not going to happen again. So if you missed it, get onto our Instagram right now. Or as Haida Sheikh Hamdans, who shared the video. Jupiter was the closest it's been to Earth since 1963, and it looked beautiful, according to social media. Stargazers were at the ready last night with just Jupiter 367 million miles away. Now, to put that into perspective, at its furthest point, it's 600 million miles away. So, a little closer.
So NASA even tweeted about it, and they said, stargazers, Jupiter will make its closest approach to Earth in 59 years, weather permitting. Expect excellent views on September 26th. A good pair of binoculars should be good enough to catch some details, and you'll need a large telescope to see the Great Red Spot.
And it's not going to happen again for many, many years. So if you were out, this is the thing. I wish we had reported about it the day before, because one amazing video has captured Jupiter behind the Burj Khalifa, shared by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan, Vice Crown Prince of Dubai, on his Instagram feed at Faz3. If you want to check it out, we've also shared it on our own, and it looked pretty cool. Like we were just talking about the joy of stargazing and seeing pretty things in the sky. As simple as that, basically.
That was a caption?
No, but but before the show we were talking about it's just a nice thing to do. Just look up at the sky, look at pretty things.
I am so jealous. I am so jealous of every single humanoid that got to witness Jupiter last night.
What's a humanoid?
Like a human. I'm just jealous. Like burning with jealousy. Like, I really wanted to see Jupiter, but it completely skipped my brain. And I was out and about at that time as well. I literally could have seen it and spotted it, but no. And these things are so interesting. You know, like blood moons, super moons, Jupiter being close to Earth. And like it does so much with like the planet alignment, the alignment of your energies, the cosmos.
I'm with you until a certain point. I'm with you until I don't remember, celestial movements and the planetary movements being as publicized when I was growing up, so I was less aware. But now when we talk about like the red moon and super moon, I'm like, wow, they're so beautiful. And you do see them in Dubai. We miss the stars because obviously we're in the city, so if you want to see the stars, get out to the desert. But you can still see the moon from so many different places. Like, obviously you can see from every places, but there's better vantage points. Yeah. And it just looks crazy.
But it's amazing to see Faza always on the ball with these things.
He just knows.
He never misses, like, be it a super moon, a blue moon, whatever it is, he captures it or he talks about it or he knows about it. Like, I think he's very big into astronomy, right? And
photography. And if you're on his Instagram stories this morning, he was up at like 4 or 5 a.m. out in the desert with the most beautiful scenery. He just, shows the city and the country in the best possible light. Can I just tell you, though, I was going through the NASA Twitter feed this morning, looking for an update on this story about Jupiter. Something freaked me out.
Tell us, Casey.
If you grew up watching movies about the world ending, I promise you this is going to freak you out. Okay, so last night, NASA retweeted this. NASA will crash an uncrewed spacecraft into an asteroid.
Intense.
On purpose. And then they go, yes, you read that correctly. This is not a movie plot. This is happening.
Oh, that makes me nervous.
The DART mission is the world's first mission to test technology for defending Earth against potential asteroid or comet hazards. So they're basically saying that we could potentially be hit by an asteroid or comet, but they're, you know, throwing these uncrewed spacecraft into it just to see what happens. And I'm like,
Oh.
why not? That face exactly. Oh, just don't tell us, NASA. I don't want to know.
But that's so funny. They're just like, let's throw a bunch of things around and see what sticks, you know?
Do you think they're mobilizing like Josh Hartnett and Ben Affleck right now to like get on to like
the movie
to man the
mission,
the control room or something? They need to be involved.
I'm sure there's going to be a movie on this, like within the next year.
Armageddon. Seen it.
Right. Okay, so I think this is inspired by movies, if anything. But I mean, like,
whew. It just freaks me out a lot.
What's meant to happen will happen, regardless of the precautions. See,
no.
For example, the pandemic. We had our precautions in place, yet it was a pandemic. Just saying.
I know, but the pandemic could have gone on, but thanks to science and vaccinations, we've killed it before it, you know, there was before it could have gone even further.
You know what? But that's great. I would say instead of investing so much of money trying to rehabilitate humans and trying to move to Mars.
Like, Simran is saying, cut the science spend. Let's just see what happens. Forget medicine, you know, forget technology. Let's just cut it and let's just see what happens, because what's meant to happen will happen. No.
That's what I was saying, literally.
But so just on that vein, Simran, if that's what you're thinking, a little bit, I think it's like a little. So on that vein, so cut the spend on clothes, because whatever you're meant to wear, you'll just wear. Cut the hairdos.
Okay, because however
your hair is meant to look, it's just meant to look. Just let it happen, and that's let people appreciate you in your natural form.
There's a lot I can say about that, but I'll tell you one thing. You know, we spend a lot about moving to. We spend a lot trying to move to Mars, right? Not we, like scientists and those in like very high positions, like Elon Musk and stuff. So we've actually spent a lot. So instead of doing that, I think what NASA is doing here is like they're on the right track. Protecting Earth, protecting our home right here. I get that. I feel that. Instead of making a new home at Mars.
I feel both.
You feel both?
Yeah, do both.
Why not?
Protect and find a separate planet when we ruin this one. Speaking of people who are going to save this planet, do stay tuned. We're going to be joined by one of the Arabian Ocean rowing team. They will row 5,000 kilometers unsupported across the Atlantic Ocean, and we're going to have Toby Gregory with us right after this. Welcome back to Lovin Dubai Show. More people have climbed Mount Everest or travelled into space than have rowed unsupported across the Atlantic Ocean. And today's guest will soon embark on that exact journey for a brilliant cause. Here to tell us all about it, we're joined by Toby Gregory from the Arabian Ocean rowing team. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me this morning. Much appreciated.
Not at all. Fit us into your busy schedule.
Okay, so rowing a boat around the world. So what's your favorite nursery rhyme?
Our favourite nursery rhyme? It's got to be row, row, row a boat, hasn't it? I don't know the words to it, so I can't sing it for you, but that's a great starting point.
So predictable, Toby.
Hey, there's a whole range in there. You just asked for one. You didn't ask for many.
Would you go through, when you're going through, we're going to get into all of the training and everything that's going into this, but do you have like a playlist? Do you sing as you go? What gets you through every single training
Look,
day?
I think if you've ever heard my voice singing, you wouldn't want that to be an option. But yeah, look, we have a playlist we put together, and closer to the row, we're going to be putting that out to the public. Because obviously, if we know what's coming, we kind of anticipate it, we get ready for it, and if it suddenly skips or isn't there, it's a bit of disappointment. So really, we're going to put it out there to the public to say, okay, what podcast should we be listening to? What music should we be listening to? And develop independent playlists from there. Because we've got 50 days, and we row all day and all night. So we've got an awful lot of time on our hands.
Yikes.
Can you just not even briefly, tell people exactly what's going on and exactly what you're doing? Because I don't know if people really understand the magnitude of what you're going to take on.
Yeah, look, we all take on challenges and we all do our own tasks. For us personally, it's one where I had a love of the water, a passion for ultra endurance events, and a very rare chance to take on one of the last great adventures of this planet. And that is to row unassisted, unsupported, all the way across the Atlantic Ocean from La Gomera, which is just off the coast of Africa, across to Antigua in the Caribbean, which will make a very nice stop. So it would take us roughly 50 days. And during that time, we rowed 2 hours on, 2 hours off for 24 hours a day. So we have roughly 120 minutes to sleep each time. But within that 120 minutes, what if something goes wrong with the boat? What if we need to repair something? We've got satellite calls, we're doing calls back to schools, we're working with the UN Environment Programme's Clean Seas campaign. And so there's an awful lot going on. So actually, we'll just have a list and we'll say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Obviously, the most of it involves rowing, but the rest of it involves kind of connecting with the community and connecting with groups of people worldwide.
I have so many questions, but I'll start with, do you not get scared of the waters? Because it's a scary place out there, not to scare you more.
They're talking about 40 feet high waves potentially.
Yeah.
Across the Atlantic.
Sharks?
There are lots of things in life that scares everyone, right? And actually, I think it's the thought of it that's more scary than the reality quite often.
Have
it's
you
the
seen
same.
Titanic?
Hopefully, I'm trying to put a brave face on
Have
this.
you seen the Titanic?
I haven't watched it recently. Perhaps that should be on our playlist. You can add those songs and the movie too. We'll have time for it. But yeah, the reality is that when we're in the middle of the Atlantic, we'll be able to drop a stone over the side and it will take an hour and a half to reach the bottom. So we know it's quite deep. But the reality is we're going to be sitting there. We're well trained. We're well prepared. We've got a very good group. It's myself, 2 friends, James and Ray. So between us, we're just excited and can't wait to get going, really.
Can you, love the enthusiasm, can you explain what does unassisted and unsupported mean?
Yeah, basically it means that as soon as we set off from La Gomera, there will be other boats trying to go at the same time. But once we set off, we are completely on our own. So we carry all our own food, we carry all our own supplies, we carry medical kits. We basically carry everything we need to try and get to the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. So if we need assistance, if we need help, then that's it, it's done. Now, the likelihood of us getting help in the middle of the ocean is going to be challenging. We probably have to make sure we're okay for about 48 hours, but there are container ships that pass by and they could provide assistance should we need to leave the boat for whatever reason. But essentially, it just means that we are completely self-sufficient for that time. So we've done medical training, we're doing physical training all the time, we're doing mental prep. There's a whole range of things, even logistics. So yeah, that's what it means. And actually, when we get to the other side, which we will, and we have to believe we will, we'll be the first ever UAE flag boat to have completed that crossing.
Huge.
It is huge, and there are lots of things and hurdles to pass between now and then. But we're working hard, we're working diligently. Each day starts at 5 a.m. for us. It finishes roughly at midnight, and then we press repeat the next day, and it just keeps going. But you just got to keep going at these things.
Damn. So it's not your first time out in the sea. What has the sea taught you?
The sea's taught me that every day is a different day. So, I like to plan, I'm a details person. So when looking at the kind of weather conditions we're going to expect, if you look at the last 10 years and the weather patterns, no year has been the same. So actually the sea has taught us that we just need to be prepared for anything. But again, this is where we widen the net and we have huge amounts of support. Loving Dubai from the very beginning of, kind of being there, they've been backing us, have been saying, go for it, go for it. Richard in particular is all the time, do this, do that. I call him up, help. And, I think we're at the point with this campaign actually where it's no longer just about us. There are so many other people. And frankly, if it was just us, we'd have probably quit a long time ago. But because we've just had so much support, so much help from other individuals and from companies from all sorts saying, go for it, look, we can do this, we can do that. It's just kept us going.
You mentioned logistics, and I just think you're unsupported for 50 days. So is there a massive fridge freezer unit in this boat? By the way, what's the size of the boat? How do you sleep? What's your sleeping conditions? Is there a fridge freezer? Is there a cooker? How do you hold the water?
Yeah, so the boat we had built especially for this crossing, it was made for us, and it's roughly the length of 1.5 cars. So it's
small.
It's rather small, and it's roughly the width of a desk. So again, quite narrow. But it's been built specifically for this task. So each end is self-contained, it's watertight, and there should be an emergency, we can go into the pods at the end. But the reality is that we're either out on deck rowing, and trying to sleep, it's tiny, but we'll be so tired that we'll just fall asleep naturally.
I have this like inner sense of cold within me just hearing it.
The first 5 days will be very cold, particularly because we live in the UAE and it's warm climate and we enjoy the beautiful weather here. So for us, the first 5 days are going to be very difficult. We'll be adjusting to the new rotations. We're missing family, friends. We'll be into the guts of it in some ways. But then after that, hopefully it gets more enjoyable.
Have you ever been tipped over?
We haven't yet, but we expect to capsize 3 times. The boat's self-right, and we've got processes and procedures in place should that happen.
Do you practice that?
Yeah, so the boat's going to go next week. So this week's quite crazy for us, quite busy. But yeah, then we start re-revising our drills. So we've been through sea survival, we've been through emergency procedures, all those sorts of elements. But once the boat goes and there's a bit of clear water for us, then we go back over all those things that we've learnt. Okay, so the boat's sinking, what do we do? Who's doing what? What action points are there? Well, there's an emergency on board. What's going to take place? Who's going to do what? A boat's coming towards us. There could be an impact. What are we going to do? When and why? So all these things you rehearse, you distill them down to a very simple list of procedures, typically 3 or 4 action points. You revise them, you learn them off by heart. And so if something does happen, you don't need to think, you just do.
Feels like, army drilling it into you. You mentioned there's a lot of support, but even with a lot of support, what's the why? Like, what gets you guys doing the 5 a.m. to 12, like these massive days every day? Like, what's actually getting you out of bed to do it every morning?
I think it is that support. This started as a dream many years ago. I bumped into somebody with an ocean rowing boat. I thought it was a fancy kayak. Turned out not to be in this thing. I didn't even know about ocean rowing. And then from there, they gave me a book. I read the book, and it developed into this kind of mythical dream. I never ever thought I'd be in a position where I'd be doing it. But then as we started and we kind of connected with the UN Environment Programme and their Clean Seas campaign and talking about plastics in the ocean and the destruction of the oceans globally, it just became much more than a dream. It became kind of our sole mission to try and help raise awareness, help focus on that. But outside of that, also we've got all these students, all these kids. We take the boat to the schools. We've had over 20,000 people come through our Be Part of It program. And as a consequence, we're telling them, with a bit of consistency, with a bit of focus, and just making a bit of time, you can do anything you want. So if we don't complete this, what do we say to them? Oh, you can't complete it? Everything we told you was wrong. So it's really 2 missions now. One's all about single-use plastics and plastic pollution in the ocean particularly. 30% of rubbish on our land ends up in the sea, and they're vital to us. The oceans produce 50% of the oxygen we breathe. It takes a lot of carbon dioxide. We use it for logistics. And so that's, they're important. Then on the other side, it's about just encouraging people globally that you can really do anything you want to do. You just have to put your mind to it, and you have to carve out a tiny bit of time. We're all so busy. We all come to work, we start early, we don't finish late, then we want to eat, then we want to go to bed, and then we want to watch Netflix. And it's actually one of those situations where actually if you put a bit of time into something, you can take on the most unbelievable tasks. We started from 0.
So I was watching Seaspiracy. Have you seen Netflix?
Yes.
And the man who was just talking about it and narrating the whole thing, he was saying he spent so much time out in the sea at one point that he developed a very fond relationship with sea creatures. Is that something that you would say worked for you as well? No,
I think from our perspective, we have no engine, we have no motor, so the likelihood of whales, the likelihood of killer whales and sharks coming up to the boat is extremely high. We know they will. And I can't wait for that. When was the last time you saw a shark? When was the last time you saw a whale? Yeah, so I think those elements, again, on the processes and procedures, we're actually nominating who can jump in when, and what does that look like? Because again, the water will be going quite fast past us because of localized currents. So you're always having to be tied on. So when you go into the water, if you go into the water, you have to be strapped on. But how amazing. When was the last time we ever got to swim with whales? So from a wildlife perspective, we'll see a lot. But then again, coming back to that plastics, we're going to see a lot of them, but we're going to be going through huge areas where it's just rubbish and garbage. And it's just, and we've been advised not to kind of, start to remove stuff, actually just catalog it, log it, try and take some samples, and then continue on our way. And actually, as part of that, we're going to be taking science experiments designed by students. So kids around the world, we've got them to design science experiments we'll take on the boat. to record the single-use plastics, to take temperature of the water, to take samples of water and all sorts of other things. So actually then we give it back to them and they'll be studying all of this. So that, you know, it's kind of no longer just about us.
Very quickly before you leave us, you talk about the process and procedures for things that can happen, but what about, like, you're deep into the Atlantic Ocean and you've just kind of described, like, you know, it's going to be, it'll be solitude.
Yes.
For, I don't even know, I'm sure you know how, like, you'll be the only living people for a very, very far moment. How do you prepare mentally for that?
So again, we've done a range of mental assessments. We'll continue to do that. So once the boat goes, those will actually increase. And more as a 3 to try and become more in tune with each other. But it's one where all of us have kind of done ultra endurance events in the past. And I think it's that mental solitude that gives you some of the peace. You know, when you're out there in the middle of nowhere, you've got no Wi-Fi because you can switch it off.
I was going to ask if you would have Wi-Fi.
Yeah. We do have iPads and we've got all the, you know, sat phones and everything like that. But really, it's about just keeping very focused. You know, because if you drift off too far and a wave hits us, what takes place then? You know, if you leave a door open, if you leave something out, it's going to get washed overboard. So you always have to remain kind of switched on, but at the same time, just imagine the peace, the solitude, you know, this kind of open ocean and just you. Something that so few people on this planet have ever experienced, to the point where more people have climbed Everest or been into space than have ever rode an ocean.
Which is just phenomenal.
Literally. But one question that our audience has been dying to ask you, we've gotten hundreds of DMs. Can you verify if mermaids exist?
Look, when we're taking these science experiments to the kids, they dream better than us, right? So I'm sure within that there'll be a mermaid kit. And if there is, I'll certainly let you know.
Okay, thank you. Not me, it's my
that wasn't for Simran.
Okay, fine. We'll report back. We will be sending footage. We have got Wi-Fi.
Simran is like sitting on a rock somewhere being like, this could be me.
Why not? We've got space.
So you'll be watching the Lovin Dubai show from your boat every single morning.
Yeah, we need to just work on what time zone we're on so we make sure we don't miss it. But yeah, Lovin Dubai is going to be all over the boat.
And we will send you a playlist, which we think will work for you.
I would love that. Okay, so we've got 50 days. We will dedicate one day to be Lovin Dubai Day on the boat.
Yes!
And that's playlists, including music and audiobooks. Be nice to us, because halfway through Rome we can't change.
And we have an amazing recording studio, so she can just sing the coordinates to you.
And maybe if you play that out loud, it can attract the mermaids. So it'll work both ways.
We'll try. We'll give it a go. I promise.
So that's how you're going to follow us very quickly. Can people follow your journey as you go? Is it going to be live streamed potentially, or how can people keep up with you guys? Yeah,
so we're on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Arabian Ocean Rowing Team is the handle for all of them. Please do give us a follow and do support our journey.
Awesome. Well, what a journey it is to fly the flag for the UAE across the Atlantic unsupported. That is Toby Gregory of the Arabian Ocean Rowing Team. And that is it for us on the Lovin Dubai show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Toby.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Toby. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello everyone, it's Hala Bassam from Smashy TV. Are you interested in the latest tech and business news in the region? Then make sure to check out our show Tech Bil Arabi on Smashy TV app and on our website www.smashy.tv. And don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms at Smashy TV. Smashy TV for the driven, the dreamers, and the doers from Monday to Friday at 10 a.m.